For a really long time, I was a detractor of the men's physique division. I thought there was something wrong into not showing your legs, but I had to change my mind over the years, and I got quite entangled with this division. Hello, ladies and Gen X. I didn't do the clap because, it doesn't sound that good. Not that good. But I decided to do something different this time. I decided to comment on the latest bodybuilding controversies for the first time. Actually, saying things that I've been talking about privately with friends and so on, because I didn't want to come up as a hater. Because I'm not a hater, I just think certain things are flat out wrong. But it's very difficult to explain on social media because whenever the tide is turning, people try to get on the chariot of the winners, and they also hide stuff that they said back then. So I decided to comment on, the latest bodybuilding stuff that has happened recently. A lot of beef from Bob Chicharrillo and Nick Walker to the men's physique division, the controversy surrounding the men's physique guys. So, in a response to what happened at the Arnold, basically, Arnold himself was, of course, commenting during the event, and he made some quite despicable comments about the men's physique division. He called it bogus. He said that it's weird and awful that these guys do not show their legs, and some, according to him, do not even train them. Mind you, that Arnold wasn't even famous for legs, and he had a lot of struggles build them. And, let's just not talk about how they throw down all the time Tom Platz when he was competing in his prime. But nevertheless, this triggered a huge backlash that made Ali Bilal or Fakir Mohamed Ali Health making this video. And I'm just going to read the caption because the whole video is too long and it gets into men's physique and the money they bring and so on. We're going to talk about that later. But basically, he wrote, "This is my last Arnold Classic. I will never do a show again where I don't feel welcome or valued. I have worked so hard to reach my physique, and it does not feel right to compete at a show where Arnold himself makes fun of the men's physique division, calling it bogus. If they really wanted to see legs, they should have invited the 212 division." Paraphrasing. "Instead of men's physique. I wasn't even planning to do the show in the first place, but the team reached out to me asking me to compete. In return, we get disrespected for $5,000. I felt like I needed to come out and highlight this, since I won the show and no one else would speak their mind." And of course, a lot of other competitors started supporting the boycott, just like Erin Banks, who commented on this post. I'm not gonna find the comment, but I think this is truly disrespectful. But I get where it does come from, because I was a huge detractor back in the past of men's physique competitors. Coming from powerlifting and weightlifting, I always thought that people that didn't train their legs seriously and didn't do squats were actually kind of bogus, to say the least. But I changed my mind because I realized a couple of things about the men's physique guys. First, they do not really skip legs as much as people would think that. I mean, if we look, for example, at Ryan Terry, which is the last Mr. Olympia winner in the men's physique division, you can clearly see that he fills out his shorts quite well. He trains legs very often, and I believe his upper body and his physique in general is the epitome of aesthetics. I mean, This guy is just madness. It's truly unbeatable. So to say that these guys do not really train legs and do not show them off, that is bogus. Because in reality, they do. The fact that they are hidden do not hide the quad sweep or the sheer amount of mass that you have underneath. That's why you have several different types of shorts that you can use in a men's physique competition. And the guys that know their craft know that the ones that actually stick to your quads are actually better, because they would show that you actually do the work. And also, guys like Taylor Manion are now changing the rules for the men's physique division, or at least the MPC committee of judges, or whatever it is, to actually make men's physique guys train more their legs. They actually have to fill their shorts from this year. So to say that they are so hidden and the whole division is bogus, I mean, you can say that just about any other division that has been made. Like, not long ago, Lee Priest said that the 212 division is nonsensical and short guys should actually compete in open, because we clearly know that the IFBB actually praises short guys. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw the last wins, or even who won back in the day in the 2000 era in the Olympia sphere, but it was not short guys. That's why Lee Priest is known as the giant killer in all the other Grand Prix where Ronnie was competing. Like, Lee Priest would actually win the Grand Prix, but he would not win the Olympia. Again, you can just make this claim that every division is nonsensical, just about any division. Like, this is the whole point. But also, I think what people do not understand about men's physique competitors is the sheer amount of mass that they bring to the table. And this is what actually made me reevaluate the whole thing. Let me see. If I look at somebody like Ismael Martinez, the guy is just packed with mass. And the crazy thing is that all these guys are not really flexing. I don't know if you can catch it in their posing, but most of them really focus on expansion of the back rather than actually flexing muscles. And if you know a couple of things about bodybuilding, you know that your muscles really look bigger and also denser when you can flex. That's why if you look at some of the old open competitors, even like Milos Sarcev, if you have longer arms, actually on a relaxed pose, you will actually look smaller, especially on your arms, because you're not really flexing. So I think the problem is that people are not really appreciating the sheer amount of mass that even guys like Martinez are actually showcasing. Like, that's what it is. Because also, if you have relaxed arms, to make them look big, you have to do quadruple the amounts of work of a classic guy. That's why this leads me to the other point. A lot of guys, like, for example, Carlos de Oliveira, they actually made the switch. I mean, this guy used to compete in the men's physique division, which is crazy now to say. And look at him now. I mean, he has the right amount of proportions, trained legs even before, but look at that. His upper body looks even more outstanding, and he has even more proportions and aesthetics. And gosh, I just hope this guy competes this year, because I want to fucking see what he can do. He made the switch because he built his upper body more first. That's also why they are thinking about introducing a weight cap for the men's physique division, because at a certain point, I believe it was 2022, 2023, there were something like 60 guys competing just in the men's physique division. Like, only in that division you had so many athletes, because everybody that couldn't do the 212 division but was more aesthetic and had less volume just said, hey, you know what? There's no weight cap here. let me do the man's physique. That's also a thought that came into my mind when I was at a certain body weight and I was shredded, because if I look at the NPC weight cap, I didn't even know how I could get in. I had to be so peeled that my upper body would be lacking. So it's the sheer amount of disrespect. Like, put aside the money thing that we're going to talk just about in a minute. It's just disrespectful to say that these guys are not doing the work. And it's just so wrong to actually tear them down when they are the new generation. And as much as I love the golden era, and I know tons of names from the golden era and whatever, and I have booklets and so on, and even Tom Platt's book, by the way, the new kids are actually getting more of these guys in their feet. And if they are not really that good in terms of their lower body, guess what? A man's physique is going to appear. So what do you think is going to attract them more to the sport, more to buying merchandise, buying, live stream memberships? These guys. I sincerely do. That's why I changed my stance, and now I'm a fan of the men's physique division. Because when you start thinking twice about things, you realize the good impact that it's going to have on people. And also, the beach body physique is something that a lot of people want to achieve. And maybe this is very far from reality or from normal standards, but the man's physique, like the physique itself, is something that a lot of people want and actually ask for. So I don't know. I just think it's flat out wrong to tear these guys down. But, let me know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, let's move on to the money part. So the main complaint, or let's say the main objection to the men's physique division, or the very recent fitness physique for women division that they created, is that all these guys are not bringing as much money as the open division, to which I would agree. I had a friend that wanted to go to the Olympia once to actually see the event in person, and when he tried to buy the tickets, just a day and a half after, the ones for the open division were already finished. Where the one that costed a little bit more but was for the whole event, so a couple of days in a row, was actually still available, but you have to see all the divisions. So the thing is, now maybe the men's physique or also the classic are not bringing that much money, so the prices are substantially lower. But if I was in some kind of power position in the IFBB and so on, I would actually try to nail this stuff down, and I would find somebody that has definitely more power than Arnold and actually scold him down. Because this is not the first time that Arnold has done something like this. I mean, forget about the comments about the calf varicose veins of Nick Walker. Every time the guy speaks at an event, and his own event, which is the Arnold, he actually tears people and the sport down. And is it good for an industry that is trying to grow and that is currently trying to battle all the economic troubles that average people face? Because ultimately, I don't know if Arnold understands it, just like actors in Hollywood who think that their political opinion actually matters. In the end, sport is made by average human beings and people like you or myself, a guy that is making videos from his own bedroom that turned into some kind of studio or whatever. So, in the end, normal people make the sport, and a lot of folks just love these divisions and they love how they progressed. And so there's no need to tear people down, and there's no need to belittle people, especially when in your competing days you didn't had legs too. I mean, I know this is kind of getting into like revenge territory or whatever, but Arnold is not famous for legs. So to comment on other people's legs and just being truly dishonest, This is truly awful. But yeah, that's what I think about it. The last thing is that I don't believe that the boycott is a good thing either, because you're boycotting one of the biggest event, and you're just showing other people that they are right, that you actually crumble under other people's comments or insults. So what I think would be a real solution is to just come the next time with a little bit shorter and tighter shorts, and actually show that you have the cards to make it. And even building more calves than Arnold, so that there's no discussion anymore on if a men's physique competitor is fit or not.
No, actually, we can bleep this up. He says, "Who the is Bob?" And my response first would be, "Is let me tell you who the I am. All right, I'm the guy that's going to be announcing you in 8th place at the Olympia. Okay, so that's who I am."
So this one is not going well either. Just like certain fronts of wars, not mentioning anyone specifically. Basically, Bob Cicciarillo came off and just said that it's going to handle an 8th place to Nick Walker at the Olympia. And now you can argue as much as you want about, the waist of Nick Walker and how, what the judges want is changing, how other athletes are bringing other stuff. But Nick Walker is just insane. I mean, it's called the mutant for a reason. And that's why I believe that Chicharito is not only wrong, he can be an announcer, a past competitor, but I think is not seeing what everybody else is seeing. Aside from the fact that if you watch Chicharito and Sean Ray, probably you have some mental issues. Sincerely, because these guys are basically resentment combined. And that's where I actually need one of my pouches, because fuck me, man. Like, you can just hear whenever Sean Ray speaks, or even Bob, that they have a lot of resentment. And this, it's kind of connected to the whole men's physique division thing. Some people really don't fucking like modern bodybuilding, to which I can understand. Like, I have plenty of people that when I go to their houses, like relatives and so on, all they fucking do is talking about the past and how great it was and so on, even though you didn't have even an internet connection and your income was solely held by the state. Definitely that happens when you have relatives that actually lived under communism or socialism, but nevertheless, a lot of people like to long for the past and think that all the new standards are just wrong. But I just want to do a little dive into this, just a little one. I've chosen this post because this is not a pose. Okay, I like, as I said previously with the men's physique, to actually showcase bodybuilders when they're not really flexed, so you can really get a glimpse of what things are going on. And the guy is absolutely packed with mass and density. And if you compare it to other guys that are competing in his division, they do not come close. I know this is gonna rub off the wrong way a lot of people, especially the ones that thought that in the 90s Sean Ray had to win all the Mr. Olympia titles. But this guy has certain features that the other guys don't have. I mean, even if you compare it to the Martian, Martin Fitz, even if you compare to him, he has a little bit of a tight waist. But does he have the same amount of mass, muscular maturity, and conditioning that Nick has? Probably not. Just saying. And if I choose to Google Bob, if we Google Bob, we are going to see that, yeah, Bob wasn't that bad. I mean, he had tighter hips and he was also taller, but he doesn't have the same amount of mass and density that Nick has. It's kind of a pointless debate because both of these guys are trying to overcome a lacking with something else. In the case of Nick Walker, I think, as smart as he is, because he was training and doing things basically on his own. That's why he left his prior coach, which was Jensen, and he is smart. And he understands that he doesn't have as tight hips and waist as the other guys. But he's basically overcoming it by being just absolutely packed and so dense and freakish that that's why, again, it's called a mutant. So to even make comparisons and say that is going to get an 8th place, Bob doesn't know because Bob is the announcer. It's not the judge. Judges, as much as people tend to think, can change opinion and canons actually from show to show. That's why a lot of strange things happen sometimes from show to show, and even from Olympia to Olympia. That's why now we have a scenario where basically all the 3 top winners have both won the Arnold Classic and the Olympia, and also one of them has also won the 212 title and then the Olympia. Stuff like this was unthinkable even just 3 to 4 years ago. So to say that Nick doesn't have any cards to pull it off is just like saying that Trump has no negotiation skills. It's just bonkers. And that's why you wouldn't listen to Bob and Sean talking together, because they are really showing their resentment and the fact that they don't really know how modern bodybuilding works. They don't really know what the people like, and they don't even know what the judges like, because if they did, they would have won substantially more. And now you can argue, well, he was competing when Ronnie and also all the others were in their prime. Even Jay Cutler. Okay, but still, the point is not there. It's just not there. I mean, Bob, if it was even just a smaller and more conditioned, would have probably won the classic physique nowadays, but not the open division. And this is not like the first time that he does this stuff. This is not the same time that Bob pulls a Bob, I guess. He also talked a little bit of trash about Big Ramy, and Big Ramy was absolutely insane, even when he won the Olympia. I mean, we can argue about it, Synthol in the shoulders, but you see what I mean. These guys are full of resentment. They do not understand how modern bodybuilding works. And I think that Nick would be actually able to shock people. Maybe is not going to get a certain placing, maybe not top 3 because of the competitiveness, but definitely is going to come close. That's just my belief. Of course, you can tell me below what do you think about it. Again, like, share, subscribe if you can, if you're willing to see other stuff from me. And thank you so much for watching. Again, I don't believe that this kind of stuff, these kinds of comments and controversies are really helping bodybuilding, especially when the course is changing a lot, especially since Sam Sulek won the Arnold, which I think was kind of a great thing because it's changing a lot of stuff in the industry. But yeah, I just think this stuff doesn't help out anybody, especially the competitors. But let me know what you think. Again, thanks so much for watching. Peace out.